Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Did you know that currently we are in the midst of the second largest crypto bear market in history? And in fact, if we do see a new low below a particular level for Bitcoin, this will be the worst bear market in history, specifically for Bitcoin. But, I say crypto because the whole market moves in tandem, so what the hell does it matter anyway? But as optimistic as things have looked over the last couple of days, I mean, mostly obviously with the CPI data, I'll get into this a little bit later, but as the CPI data came in, market go up, then the FOMC meeting, market go back down with that news, and I'll get to that in a few minutes here. But you know what I'm thinking more, like it's consistently in the back of my mind, it has been for a good month, well, ever since the FTX collapse, a little over a month, is the contagion idea. Because we've seen the collapse of FTX. We've seen the collapse of BlockFi. And so those are two, off the top of my head, those might be the only two actual declared bankruptcies that have occurred, unless I'm forgetting something. But what about Genesis? We know that they're having some serious trouble, seem to be pretty damn insolvent. That's not a secret. And they're of critical importance to the crypto markets globally, frankly. I mean, especially if you look on an institutional level, major players have counted on Genesis, and Genesis owes a lot of its institutional level customers lots of money, like Gemini, which had their earn program where you earn interest on crypto. They had to halt withdrawals because that money, if any of you handed out your crypto to Gemini, well, Gemini gave it to Genesis, and Genesis doesn't have anything. Didn't really work out so well. So, and that's just one thing. There are all sorts of major firms that are relying on Genesis. And so, yes, this is hanging over our heads. So you guys do realize this. Like the fact that several weeks have gone by and we haven't heard, the actual ultimate, verdict on what's going to happen with this. The fact that we don't have that news yet doesn't mean that it won't be disastrous. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody. It's just like we should be aware of this. And if something magically comes in, somebody comes in and saves the day, okay, super duper. I don't know what that would be or how that would make sense for anyone to come in and, take care of what might be like a multi-billion-dollar hole in the balance sheet. I don't know what it is, but that shoe's going to drop at some point, presumably, which is why my suspicion is the contagion's going to spread. And I could be wrong, fine. But if I'm just making a for-fun bet right now, I'd bet at some point it spreads. So the fact that we haven't had final resolution on that doesn't mean everything's okay. I mean, I understand like people might start to feel like it's okay because X amount of time has passed. But no, we just haven't had a resolution on that. That's hanging over our heads right this second. If that happens, I think you're going to see another major move to the downside, just like with the Luna contagion. Which, funny enough, it looks like, I'm not going to get into it again in this video, but it looks like FTX may have had a major hand even in Luna collapsing. But setting that aside, so we'll just call it the Luna collapse for now. But then you had Celsius and Three O's Capital and Voyager and all that. And that happened over a span of months. Well, we're only a little in a little over a month at this point. So the severity of all this, it's not exactly known. But I don't see how things don't get worse unless somebody magically, somebody flies in with a cape and says, "Here, I'll give you my money and fill the hole in your balance sheet because reasons." I mean, if there's actually a way that makes sense, okay, fine, I'm willing to hear it out. But if that doesn't happen, how do things magically just start working again? Don't you think that the market would panic? Isn't this reasonable speculation? I think so. And if anybody disagrees, that's fine. Just articulate your reason why, because maybe I'm wrong. But to me, it looks very reasonable to speculate what's more probable is a move to the downside at this point. But even so, my gosh, the opportunity is incredible right now. There's an article, in fact, I'm going to touch on a bunch of this stuff. There's this article from Cointelegraph titled, "Bitcoin Bear Market 70% Dip Kills Bitcoin Tourists as Metric Screams Buy," as in B-U-Y, as in buy the dip effectively. And it's amazing. And humans just behave like this without fail. When things get extremely scary, it's the emotions that take hold, and it's going to cause you to sell. And then when everything's all exciting, you're going to FOMO into stuff here. And even if the market goes lower, which I'm concerned it may, it's certainly not going to scare me, and it's not the end of the world. But we've already seen such a major dump. There are only so many more people out there remaining who will be willing to sell, and I'm not one of them, by the way. I'm certainly not willing to sell. And I'll also show you the specifics about how this could end up being literally the longest bear market in history for crypto here. But before sharing additional thoughts and topics in this video, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. Just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. XRP's at 38 cents, Bitcoin at $17,439. Worth noting, yesterday Bitcoin was as high as $18,340. But that was right before we got the news of the rate hike, and I'll get to that in a second. And then here you have the Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 31 out of 100. So market participants still in fear, but hey, at least not extreme fear. Also, I wanted to highlight this. I'm following this like more than ever before. The chart on your screen is the number of new accounts activated for XRP. And I subjectively just picked arbitrarily, rather, that's the word I was looking for. I arbitrarily selected a time frame for this chart. May 1st through the end of yesterday, December 14th. So we got full days worth of data here. And you can see it was pretty normal to have, you know, about 1,000 new accounts per day back in June. And with the bank run on Binance the other day, which has not resulted to this point a collapse in Binance, but it was still a bank run. Bank runs don't always result in banks or financial institutions falling apart. With that happening, we saw a major jump in new XRP account creation. So on the 13th, 4,788 new accounts. Yesterday, the 14th, 4,489 new accounts. This is unprecedented behavior. This is outside of anything that I've ever seen in my 5+ years in crypto. It's absolutely insane. I mean, we've seen bigger instances of greater account creation, but that was different. That was during bull times when there are just more people jumping in and a certain percentage of them wanted to self-custody. Here, it's out of fear. This is totally different. This is unprecedented. Never seen anything like this. And so I tweeted this out on the 13th. I wrote, the dollar amount of crypto flowing out of Binance right now is truly staggering. Over $3.6 billion is the latest number I've seen. The good news is, as long as 100% of customer crypto is backed, as CZ says, so it's Binance founder CZ, there is nothing to worry about. We're approaching the moment of truth. Okay, so at least to this point in time, we've done a stress test on Binance. It seems fine. Now I say that. It doesn't mean it's safe to leave crypto on any exchange. I don't think that's safe at all. But, at this point in the bank run on FTX, it was very clear that there were serious problems and that FTX was actually probably going to collapse. And it did. With Binance, I'm not seeing that currently, at least. I'm not seeing, I see public concerns from all sorts of people. I highlighted that a couple days ago. Major names, including Jesse Powell, founder of cryptocurrency exchange Kraken, saying, this doesn't look right, Binance. So hopefully everything truly is backed one-to-one like they say it is. And if not, then there hasn't been a big enough bank run to collapse Binance. But, like I said the other day, it's not to scare anybody. I'm not anticipating Binance is going to collapse. This is the world's largest exchange, by the way, in terms of volume, the largest. So that'd be even bigger than what would happen with FTX. I don't think that's likely, but that's why for me, though, why risk it? Because you don't know what you don't know. I also didn't think, if you asked me a couple months ago, would FTX just cease to exist? I'd be like, why would I think that? No, I don't have any inside information, which is why the best way to approach holding crypto is to just hold it yourself. That's my personal opinion anyway. Now there's this from Crypto Potato. Fed hikes rate by 50 basis points, sends Bitcoin below $18,000 as crypto rally cools off. The decision of the U.S. Federal Reserve to hike interest rates by 50 basis points put an end to the most recent crypto rally. Bitcoin's price tumbled below $18,000 as the entire market took a beating. On December 13th, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics published the numbers for the Consumer Price Index, that'd be CPI for short, which is used to gauge the levels of inflation in the country. The number came in at 7.1% for November, which was below the expected 7.3%. Naturally, this led to an increase in the market, and Bitcoin's price soared to over $18,000 shortly after. However, during the FOMC meeting yesterday, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell announced another interest rate hike of 50 basis points, which had the exact opposite effect on the price. So one after another, back to great news. Oh, we're very happy because news. Oh, more news, bad news. Now we very scared. Okay. I am so glad I don't operate like that as a human. I count on humans behaving like this because they're the ones that cause volatility in markets, and volatility is the purpose of investing. But for a human like me who just thinks it's completely absurd, all I do is just buy and hold. I don't worry about the rest. I think that overall, It's same for stocks. For stocks and crypto, the pie gets bigger. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and worth more, especially as the dollar's declining. You compare this against the dollar, my gosh, not even close. The dollar is not a store of value. That's where you go if you want to lose value. And to me, it couldn't be more obvious, which is why I bet accordingly for 5 years. And the pie, and I've been right so far. I mean, it's not just me that thinks this. If you're listening, you probably think the same thing. The pie does keep getting bigger despite a major contraction. I mean, yes, Bitcoin down somewhere close to 80% at this point in time, and XRP down from its all-time high. I mean, think about when it went from almost $4 down to its March 2020 low of 11 cents. I mean, it's been down over 90% at times. But the pie for crypto over a prolonged period of time just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger despite the extreme volatility. And so to me, this just represents opportunity, which is why I'm like, all y'all, if you want to do a bunch of weird getting in and out positions and making emotionally charged buying decisions, you do you. I count on you doing that. I know you people exist. I will not participate. Okay? Absolutely. You do your nonsense. I'm going to not participate. I'm going to back off into the corner of the room and just hang out there. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention this. This is a headline. I don't really need to read the article. The headline says enough. XRP reclaims 6th spot in crypto market rankings amid fresh inflows. And it still is there today, so it took out BUSD. Now, of course, stable coins, I really wish they weren't in rankings on these market cap websites or index websites for crypto, because people aren't going to see if a stable coin, aren't going to these sites to see if a stable coin that's worth $1 is still worth $1. It's like, I wish they weren't there by default. Because there have been times where in the top 10 you've had 4 stable coins in the top 10. It's not, the reason that people track market cap is because the price of the individual assets varies. That's what makes tracking market cap valuable. And so when you throw in things that are always worth $1, and I get it, you multiply it times supply and market cap, but if it's always the same price, it's meaningless, because you want to, I actually said that slightly backwards. You want to track the value of whatever the coin is. And so if you're looking at market cap, everything ranked by market cap, the interest is like, does the price make sense based on the market cap? And if the asset is always worth $1 because it's a stable coin, I just don't think that's why most people are coming here, but that's just a little side tangent. Now, take a look at this from the Daily Huddle. Top crypto analyst predicts Bitcoin turnaround after the second largest Bitcoin bear market. Here's the timeline. And this is interesting. We're actually really close, and we potentially could hit a new historic moment where if we do see another major plunge, which I'm certainly not ruling, I don't know about you guys, I'm not ruling it out. If the contagion spreads, it's going to happen. We're living through a truly historic moment if that's the case. I mean, it's historic regardless, just with what happened with FTX, but even more so then. Piece reads as follows. Widely followed cryptocurrency analyst Benjamin Cowen is expressing a bullish outlook for Bitcoin over the coming months. Cowen tells his 778,000 YouTube subscribers in a new video that Bitcoin could start a bullish reversal later next year, ahead of the flagship crypto asset's scheduled halving in 2024 and the possible loosening of monetary policies by the Federal Reserve. And here's a quote. Actually, I want to say one thing first. As far as loosening of monetary policies from the Federal Reserve, I think it's an inevitability that, yes, of course, at some point, the rate hikes are going to cease. And can you imagine how the market's going to respond? That's why whether you buy at $20,000 Bitcoin or $15,500 Bitcoin, or you buy XRP at 50 cents, or you bought XRP at 35 cents, in the end, it's not going to matter if we're right and that there are going to be new all-time highs for these things. It's not going to matter that much. It's still going to be life-changing for so many people. And to me, it couldn't be more obvious that that's an inevitability, virtual inevitability anyway. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, check out this quote. My guess, again, is I think things will slowly start to turn around and go to neutral sometime in 2023. And then, as you get later into 2023, I imagine we'll start to see some bullish signs as the halving will be inside and getting back to probably a more dovish Fed, end quote. Now, according to the crypto strategist, this is the second longest bear market in the history of Bitcoin. However, Cowen says that this will be Bitcoin's longest bear market in a couple of days if the flagship digital asset plunges below the 2-year low of about $15,476. And here's the quote, and I found this very interesting, and I think it's plausible that this actually could happen. We'll see. But the quote is as follows. It remains only the second longest bear market so far, because there was one bear market from back from November of 2013 to January of 2015 that actually lasted 406 days, meaning in 5 more days, that bear market would have been over. So if Bitcoin does put in a new low more than 5 days from now, then it would actually be the longest bear market that we've ever had in Bitcoin's history. But right now, it's the second longest bear market if this, $15,500-ish, is the low, end quote. So we'll see what happens, but these things, anytime you're heading to the downside, anyway, everybody always thinks it's just going to keep going that direction. Well, let me share with you a fun little piece of information. It bears repeating. 4 years ago, December 15th, 2018, to the day, was the literal bottom of the Bitcoin and thus crypto bear market. 4 years ago today. And Bitcoin got down to, I think, something like $3,200. And people were saying, oh, no, it's going to keep going. Look at this. And here's the metrics why. Here's the reason. All sorts of analysts saying all sorts of things, saying it's going to go down to $2,000. Bitcoin's going to go down to $1,000. But that was the actual bottom. And we know what happened after that. It went to 70 grand just about. From $3,200 to just about $7,200. So whether you bought Bitcoin back then at $5,000 or $7,500 or $3,200 if you were fortunate to get it near the bottom, it went to 70 grand. Okay? Just about. And, you know, we're in a situation now, interestingly, 4 years later, here we are. And, you know, not that today necessarily would be the literal bottom, but damn, we're close. Either it's already happened or we're very close. And I've been saying that for a long time. And so it could feel like perhaps I'm saying that forever and forever and forever. But that's because, you know, when you're living through a span of months, that feels like a long time. But, you know, talk about this in 5 years. Those few months, it's going to be like the blink of an eye. That's what's going to look, when you look back, it'll be like, oh, that happened so quick. So it'll feel like nothing. And it really won't be anything. If you look at, you know, a full chart of Bitcoin's history from its inception to, you know, 5 years from now, the price action happening now is going to look like just a flash in the pan. It's going to look like nothing. It just feels like it's something in the moment. It feels like it's going to be this or that forever. But that's not true. It's not. We are at the bottom. We've already seen the bottom, or we're close. I firmly believe that. So that's why I place my bets accordingly. Like the potential downside versus the potential upside, my God, it's not even close. Happy to be positioned as I am. And here's a headline from Cointelegraph. Bitcoin bear market, 70% dip kills Bitcoin tourists as metric screams by. I don't want to read the article, but I want to point out what they were talking about. And they have this chart here called Realized Cap Hodl Waves. All you really need to know is that it's tracking when Bitcoin was last moved, and Bitcoin ain't moving, which basically means, because you can check, you know, you can check on-chain metrics. It's a public blockchain. And Bitcoin, like the people that wanted out, they sold, they emotionally made their important financial decision. They decided to get out. And then there are enough people that were willing to purchase it. And now you just have, for long periods of time, like Bitcoin just sitting there. And this is what you see at the bottom of bear markets consistently, which is what this chart is showing. This is not the first time that this has happened. Here you can see, you know, leading up to 2016, leading up to 2019 or somewhere thereabout, you know, leading up to 2023. That's what the chart is pointing. It's the same human behavior again and again and again. And that's why it's helpful to see it on charts like this. But that's why I keep saying, even if things go lower, I'm going to be like, okay, I don't care. If anything, it'll entice me to buy more. Like, what the hell do I care? It's the same human behavior, like again and again and again, and provably so. But this time's different? I don't think so, folks. Because there's a certain number of people, like me, for example, that whatever happens in price, I am not going to respond. You know? And fine, most people are willing to emotionally respond. They will emotionally respond. But there are other people like me who absolutely won't. And I'm not going to cease to exist either. Just like they won't cease to exist and they'll keep causing the volatility. There's a ton of people like me, and maybe you're one of them too, who just actually have diamond hands. You know, you really do. You don't have lettuce hands. And you're not going to respond to this stuff. And this is not me telling you what to do or not to. I don't care if you buy or sell or hold. I'm not advising on that. I'm just saying for me, I'm not going to. And I am one of those people. And the people like me are not going to cease to exist either. There's part of this. There are always people like me that'll be like, okay, I'll buy your fear. No problem. And then markets recover. Which side of that equation do you want to be on? So anyway, just food for thought. But I'll go ahead and wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.